So what I wanted to discuss with you guys today is the future of e-commerce. Quite a broad topic, but as you guys know, AI is coming into play. We have James, the specialist in AI. We also have Tristan, the AI guy as well. And being on top of what's to come is very, very important because the old strategies that used to work when building an e-commerce business, they don't work anymore. And frankly, one of the biggest changes that we have to have for ourselves with this new kind of going into 2026 is having higher standards for ourselves in every department, including our business. No longer is it possible really to just choose products off AliExpress, whip up a quick Shopify store using AI, run some ads and have a successful business. Okay, and that's not what we want to teach you guys. There's a lot more that goes in to having a successful business and a successful business that starts for the long term and lasts the long term. And really the key is brand building, okay? And that's what we will be discussing today is building brands, okay? And focusing on content, okay? Not just AI content, but real content and having something that actually delivers value to the world. And when we're all kind of grown up, we're all taught that businesses is about providing value, about really delivering great products to specific audiences that actually solve problems or delivering products that actually fulfill on desires. And I think a lot of the time when people get into e-commerce, they forget that our primary objective is to have great products that truly help customers, where you can build a business with repeat customers. And that's one of the keys that you guys need to focus on, is building businesses with repeat customers, okay? Basically, it's evolving very, very fast, and I want you guys and I want ourselves to be at the forefront of it. So the old tactic, whether it be spamming as many ads as humanly possible, completely faceless stores, no influencers, no creators, it's not going to work anymore. If you guys are just taking like short-term trending winning products from TikTok, copy and pasting it onto your Shopify store, yes, you guys can make some money, but it will not last long, okay? It will not last long until we innovate and we genuinely deliver value and we go above and beyond what everybody else is doing. It's the primary motive for you guys is to do better than everybody else. Okay, copying, it isn't really working anymore. So, why most brands won't survive the shift? It's primarily because you guys are focusing, or people are focused on just building stores, not brands. That's really one of the keys. And you guys need to focus on value and having an element of story to your business as well, or why do you have this business, and actually publicly document this is a great idea, or have an about us or something of this nature will significantly help you guys. And of course, thinking long term. The longer you guys think, the longer your business will last for and the more money you can make in the short term. E-commerce is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's very, very important to emphasize. Again, a lot of people start e-commerce thinking e-commerce is a get-rich-quick scheme, but it's absolutely not. It's a real business with real results and has to be treated like you're starting a brand, like you're starting a company. And one of the key points of starting a business, starting a company, is doing things as a team. And that'll be one of my first points, really when I've had my biggest shift in e-commerce and just in my business journey, it's come from building a team. And there shouldn't really be any one of you in this room completely building your business on your own. Okay, you can be the sole owner of your business, but getting people into your business as fast as possible will significantly help. Okay, and very, very important. So we'll move on. So there's a few other points about why certain brands won't survive the shift. Okay, another point is relying on one traffic source. Okay, most people they build a store, they have a decent product, and they just rely on meta ads. Okay, if the product doesn't sell, they don't become profitable within the first month, they'll just pivot to another product. No longer can that be done. We have to think much more deeply about who we're selling this to, what platforms are our audiences on, and how can we market these products to our specific customers that we need to be aware of, our ideal customer profile, ICP, find out what platforms our ICP is on, and come up with unique ways to market our products on different platforms. Low quality, low margin products is an absolute no-go. For the businesses I personally start, I look for really a minimum of about £40 average order value. Okay, the minimum sale price I really like is about £40. The sweet spot really is looking at £50 to £100 products plus, in my personal experience. And I'm a huge advocate for selling reasonably priced products, okay? Not super, super low ticket. I wouldn't really go the super high volume game in e-commerce nowadays. Temu is going high volume, Shein is going high volume, and we simply cannot compete. So yeah, don't just build a business thinking that cheap is going to be the way forward. It's absolutely not. And then competing on price instead of value is another really important point. You don't want to compete just on price because it will be a fast road to the bottom eventually. Generic products, weak branding, we touched upon this. Okay, if you guys just have generic products the same as everybody else, you're not necessarily going to succeed. Okay, you can start a store with a product that might be the same as other brands in the market, but over time, your job as a business owner is going to be improving this product. That's your primary goal. Take this product that's selling for you and improve it. One step could be the custom packaging. The next step could be putting your logo on the actual product. Actually buying stock up front so you have better prices with suppliers, but actually looking at the product itself and asking yourself, how can you make this more valuable to my customers? And drop shipping is just the start. You guys do want to move away from just drop shipping, buying stock as soon as orders come through, and eventually get to the point where you have stock, even if you still store it in China. It's absolutely fine, okay? But you having your own product is really going to set you apart. No repeat customers as well. You will make most of your money in e-commerce, the profit that goes into your bank account, from repeat customers. So just know that if you guys don't have repeat customers, if you don't have systems for repeat customers, you will eventually be put out of business. 100% guaranteed without a shadow of a doubt. So when you're building your business, ask yourself, what can I do to incentivize more people to come and buy from me? Can I develop a product ecosystem? And that's a very key point I wanted to touch upon, is having multiple products, building that into an ecosystem where you guys can constantly make sales. That's what I'm building with my new brand, Zaros. Okay, Zaros is just going to be, as many of you know, that first touch point into kind of the James Dimitriades or the Zaros brand, but I have multiple products that I'm going to be upselling, okay, through social media. This is why I'm going all in on, for example, YouTube, or growing my Instagram, growing my audience, delivering great service. This is my primary motive, because I know if I can capture someone buying a bag, then there's other things that I can sell them over the line that are much more expensive and much higher ticket. And that's what also I would suggest thinking about, is what businesses can you guys build, saying high ticket products. High ticket products genuinely changed my life, okay, with very, very strong profit margins. And then of course, ignoring organic reach, okay? Have your paid advertising, but have a strong organic marketing strategy that is super, super dialed in to work alongside your paid advertising. You won't succeed long term for longer than about 3 to 6 months unless you have an organic strategy that is actively producing you sales consistently. Meaning if you turn off your ads, your organic would still generate you sales. It's very, very important, because you can evolve, and building your organic strategy across multiple social media platforms is the future. And exploring, as mentioned, new upcoming or slightly niched social media channels is very, very important. Things like Pinterest as well, if you have more of a women's product, or exploring platforms like TikTok Shop, okay, or going TikTok lives as well. These are new ways to market your products that you guys want to be consistently testing. Some of you might have heard this before, but most people starting e-commerce businesses are not doing any of this. This is not taught to most people, and therefore this is the competitive edge that you guys have. And that's my primary motive, is to give you guys a competitive edge. So really the first point is content, okay? I want to emphasize the importance of content. When you're starting an e-commerce business, you are also starting a media company. And that's what you guys have to think of yourselves as. I'm the owner of a media company. That is one huge business that I have amongst my e-commerce business. Because, as I say, you can't just run ads and get loads and loads of sales. The ads will get the attention. The content that you're consistently posting across multiple social media platforms is what will nurture your audience and keep that attention and persuade your audience to buy from you over competitors. Okay, very important. Things like Instagram stories. A lot of e-commerce brands don't utilize this very important and obvious organic, channel. Instagram stories, nurturing your audience, perhaps documenting the process of yourself building the business on Instagram stories. Okay, just one example. document your journey, share insights into the brand, share insights into who created the brand, why the brand was created. Founder-led brands are absolutely killing it, and try and utilize storytelling in your approach. Very, very important. Educational-based content is also doing very, very well. Depends on the product, but having like creative or content diversification, different styles of content will really help. And I see a lot of brands, they push the products, okay? They might push the lifestyle about who you become when you use the product or the problem it solves, but it doesn't actually educate the audience on their problem and how important it is. And this is where perhaps long-form YouTube could come into play. What a great asset that I guarantee you nearly no one is using in this room to educate your audience on why your product is great and how it's going to help them, okay? Things like blogs, they're great, they're good for SEO, perhaps AI was a GEO, good for GEO, but having long-form YouTube videos would be far more valuable than having a vlog on your website. It's more personal, okay? And that's what content allows you to do, is to make your business as personal as humanly possible. That's why we're doing this in person. It's personal. Content is your brand's heartbeat. Now what happens if your heart stops beating? You're dead. So make sure you see yourself as a media company. Well, we'll move on to the product, okay? The days of average products, decent products, good products is over. Your product needs to be exceptional. Exceptional, okay? You want your bank balance to be exceptional, you need your product to be exceptional. Very, very important. Yeah, product experience is part of the marketing, okay? And if your product isn't remarkable, I wouldn't focus on anything else. I truly wouldn't. I would just focus on turning the product remarkable or choosing a different product that is remarkable, okay? And so when you're doing your product research, if you're looking at the same products as everybody else that have been run for 5 years, for 3 years with no innovation on improving that product, you're finished, okay? You're finished. This is why often we actually say, look for wow factor products or new or unique products, because oftentimes they're at the cutting edge of newness in civilization, right? And very, very important. Packaging, quality, the unboxing experience, the story behind your brand, this can all be used as viral content. And of course, one of the main reasons is that the repeat customers is where your profit comes from. There are many businesses, successful businesses, that perhaps even you guys look up to some of these guys online who have these successful businesses. They don't make any money acquiring a new customer, okay? They might even take a small loss to acquire a new customer. Their cost per acquisition is higher than their gross profit per sale. But how is it that they still have a successful business? Is because they're spending more money on ads than all of their competition, and they're making all their money on the back end. This is how you can get to the big, big revenue numbers, okay? And that's what all of them are doing, okay? Especially if you've got a supplement company. Things like this, you're gonna make minimal money on the front end. It's all on the repeat customers, okay? Now, also, a great product will give yourself a positive feedback loop on social media. This means the most powerful ads that you guys will ever run will have things like comments on it, or your Instagram posts will have comments on it from customers giving a bit of a testimonial. All your customers, they see your ads because they loved their experience with your brand so much, they're gonna like all your posts. They're gonna comment on all of your ads. This tells Meta, if we're talking from a Meta perspective, that customers are happy, people are happy. What does that mean? Meta will then reward you for delivering a great experience. And if you want cheaper CPMs, if you want to survive the spike in costs to advertise, which is happening, you've got to get on Meta's side. And Meta will reward you if customers are happy, and they know every single customer and how happy or not happy they are. If you have an average customer experience, your CPMs will be average. You can't become a multimillionaire or a millionaire with average. Yeah, and then obviously standout design, it just helps, right? And make sure that the problem, right, that your product is solving, if it's a problem-solving product, solves a real pain point. And the bigger the pain point that your product solves, the more sales you will get, the more emotionally inclined your audience will be to actually purchase the product. The product research never stops. Even if you just had one brand, you're going to constantly looking for new and better products to introduce onto that brand all the time. Even if it's just variants of your existing product, it's never going to stop. Obviously, you're just starting out in e-commerce. There's no harm in launching a product and looking for other products in different niches just because you're new to it, and you've just got to dive in as much as possible. There's no mistake that you can make as someone new in e-com that's going to be fatal, okay? So yeah, I would say in your scenario, look for new products all the time in different niches, see what you resonate with. You know, you could order some samples in, see what you truly think is valuable, if you would use it, if you wouldn't use it, who would use it. I would say, yeah, always look for products in your scenario. And as an existing brand owner with one store, always look for products as well. The rise of high ticket, high margin e-commerce. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Specifically on social media, I believe, and this is a personal belief, that there will be fewer impulsive buys over time. People are going to make much more intentional purchases. Intentional purchases. Now, if someone makes an intentional purchase, what does that mean? They're going to spend longer to think about if they actually want to purchase that product. They're going to do more research into the brand. They're going to do more competitor research, or looking at other brands to see if they have a similar product. And so what do we have to do? We have to recognize this and build the business specifically for this, okay? One of the ways you can do that is selling more premium products. My new brand Zaros, for example, the first product is going to be £135. We've then got £235, and then we've got £275. It's very intentional that I'm not building a brand that's going to be super cheap. I need high profit margins to take into consideration ad costs, staff costs, website hosting, payment processing fees. There's a lot of costs associated with e-commerce, all right? And if you've got $20 profit per order, $10 off profit per order, it's very, very hard, okay? It's very, very hard. So I would suggest in 2026 to move away from the volume game and more into the quality game, okay? With fewer customers, more profit. This is where I suggest you guys move towards with any new brands. Temu, AliExpress, Amazon, they've got the volume game covered for us. We can still do it, but if you want big profits, high price products. Also, you having more profit per order is going to allow you guys to invest into quality, into a better product. You'll just have more profit in your bank to use as a resource. Every pound that you guys have in your bank account must be used. If it is not used, it is useless. So use your money, absolutely, smartly. Obviously, having a cash balance is still very good, but it's got to be used. So yeah, invest into quality. You're also just going to have more profit. A more expensive product is generally just going to get more customer referrals because people will just be happier. If you receive a $20 or a £20 order in the post, it is what it is. It's probably decent, but you're not going to go and scream about it to your friends. You're not going to post it on social media. If I manage to persuade someone to buy a £275 duffel bag from me and it's fucking insane with scented packaging, custom design, best leather on the planet, you're much more likely to go and tell your friend, wow, I just got this. Okay, and that's more positive feedback loop that you can only do with a high profit margin and high ticket business. And of course, more profit to invest into content as well. So competing cheap is a race to the bottom because eventually you will hit Temu prices. Eventually you will hit AliExpress prices, which isn't enough to pay the bills. So while you guys are doing all of this, and of course I will send you guys this presentation so you can reference it. Thinking more global. I've recently launched some ads in Cyprus. And I've actually reached about 80% of the population in Cyprus over the past month for a project that I'm working on. And I think that's pretty badass. And I just tested it. And I'm from Cyprus, and it's fucking cool. So global expansion is untapped goldmine. There are markets out there that no one is selling to or that don't have your product in it, okay? No one's gonna recommend you to go and sell to a Scandinavian market, to a European market, right? To the UAE, wherever it is. No one's gonna tell you because no one's doing it. But imagine if you were the first to enter the market with a phenomenal product. It's a blue ocean. In Cyprus, for this project that I'm working on, I am the first. And I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, you can obviously translate your offers, localize creatives, basically just translating creatives and landing pages. And there are so many markets that I know most of you guys are not testing. That is a problem. It's a pretty big problem because they have our money, and we're not selling to them. And we're business people. We need to sell to everybody we can, or certainly find the markets which are untapped. So yeah, 2026, the opportunity is in new markets. In 2026, brands that win will be everywhere which your customer is. And this is why developing a very, very strong understanding of exactly who your ideal customer profile is will help. Okay, what does that mean? That means actually studying and speaking to your existing customers. Okay, studying where they are, what platforms that they're on. If they're on Pinterest, run ads on Pinterest. If they're on TikTok, run ads on TikTok. If you have no idea, test them all. Okay? Because one market, one product, and one ad creative on a specific platform can change your whole life, okay? You can make millions from it, and you only need one of them. Yeah, Meta ads, obviously that's kind of the great starting platform. You can achieve huge success on just Meta alone, but it's not going to be super high profit if you only have that. So TikTok, YouTube, absolutely huge. I'm a massive advocate for YouTube. If everyone in this room had 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, we'd all be millionaires because there's 100,000 people looking at you in long form content. I mean, what a blessing that would be, you know? YouTube's goated. So definitely touch upon YouTube, okay? If you're not quite sure what content to create, just start by telling the audience, I have no idea what to create, so I'm going to document building the business, okay? And sell your products through that if the product aligns with you. Google Shopping, what a great platform. Organic Trust Builder, it is the Trust Builder, great platform. Email and SMS, you guys know this. For the companies that I work with that are kind of 6 figures per month plus, email and SMS, we're looking at about 25 to 30% revenue minimum. Now the typical kind of 6 figure per month business operates like 30, 40% margins if they're a great business, which means their profits coming from email, which means if you don't have it, you'll be out of business. So it's definitely something to work towards. And YouTube ads is an untapped one. I haven't actually explored this. This is what changed Joel's life, is speaking to your existing customers and actually asking them what motivated them to buy the product. What were they looking to achieve, and logging all the information that you can from your real existing customers after a real phone call and logging that on a spreadsheet and looking at the similarities between why they actually purchased the product. If the pain point that you've thought of isn't on that sheet, it's quite unlikely that it will work on ads, but it certainly potentially could. And the other approach is simply to create some ad creatives and test it on ads. And ads will be the fastest way to test if an angle or a concept works. Organically, it will be quite slow. I would lean far more into new angles to scale your business. And recently, the update on Meta, I believe it's called Andromedia, and Meta have come out and said that you will be punished actually creating loads of iterations of winning ads. It's very, very recent, in the past few months. What Meta are rewarding now is not iterations of winners. It's having a group of new winning angles and new winning ads that are all different to each other, the creative diversification. For you guys in this room, if you have your winning ad, focus on creating new winning ads, new concepts. You know, you could iterate the same ad 5 times with 5 different hooks. The marginal gain from doing that is much lower than it used to be. Most brands who do YouTube would have a face to it. Now, the quickest way to do it if it wasn't your face would be to have someone else be the face of the brand. And perhaps you have a unique link to your website in the YouTube description that they get incentivized through like referrals through their YouTube. That would be the easiest way. If there's absolutely zero face to it, you could still do it. I would lean more towards educational based content and maybe just make it quite cinematic with subtitles, a voiceover. You might still have to do a voiceover or get someone else to do a voiceover. So there would be ways to do it. I haven't seen it. The quickest way would be to get someone else to do it for you. But think of anyone you know doing well in e-commerce, probably has a personal brand. That's the only reason you do know. And it's absolutely huge. People do buy from people, especially in this AI era. So if you guys can practice putting yourself out there on social media, there's a very high probability it will change your life, as it has mine. The highest converting ads I had for like my first kind of 3 or 4 years in e-com were actually ads for Undeniable of me selling the jewelry. Filmed it in a warehouse. I filmed like 5 or 6 different ads, and they did very, very well. Very, very well. We did 6 figures in ad spend just from those ads of me in it, because there's instant credibility and it's also just that human presence that people can see. So I would recommend it. Even if you're selling a woman's product and it's a male product, you should still try it. I would still recommend it. And let people follow your story as well. So it comes down to documenting the journey. You can see me, Phil, and Joel do it. You know, we do it for a reason. And there's also other ways you can monetize your audiences. Developing that product ecosystem. If you have a product that aligns with you and you have yourself as the founder, you can sell your ecom products, you can have higher ticket ecom products on the same store, you can have a variety of different products. You can have a variety of different services that you guys can take advantage of. More expensive products. And this is my belief systems behind what works. For me, it works. It did change my life financially. So I would recommend it. It's also the reason you guys are in this room. It's because I put myself on social media, which I think is pretty cool. I've never seen anyone go on camera for the first time that was worse than me. I actually think I was probably the worst I've ever seen. I was at my mentor's house like this. And he asked me a question on ecom and I stood there like a box. You know, now I'm actually pretty decent at it. And it's just volume, it's practicing. And also understand that if you do have a great editor, it can be completely manipulated. So it's the same for your ads as well, guys. Make sure they're edited exceptionally. Things like brand font as well. If you can develop a unique brand font, especially I know you two have projects that you're working on, come up with a font that is completely unique to your brand, okay, and have that consistent across all of like everything, the website, the ads, everything. And then even have a consistent editing style, you know, that goes exactly on your brand. For my personal brand content that we're filming at the moment, we've developed a lot, but I have a filter that is completely unique to me that Lewis has created. So when someone sees a piece of my content, they'll know it's me instantly just from the filter. Things of this nature will allow you to stand out on social media. This is what we're betting on. Now, it won't happen like the first time, the second time, the third time they see your content, but maybe in 100 videos, they'll eventually subconsciously know instantly it's you when they see this filter. Alex Hormozy did it with the captions. If you remember, he was one of the first to introduce like these unique captions that only Alex Hormozy did. As soon as you see the captions, you knew it was his piece of content. It's very, very powerful. So things like brand filters and all of this will help. Okay, and working with a professional will help as well. That's why you need to stack your bread and invest it back into your business and try and hire people who are better than you in certain areas. Like even like branding for Zaros, I'm very good at branding, but I need it to be exceptional. I went straight to a branding specialist. You know, video editing, I'm decent, but I'm not exceptional. And if I want my bank account to be exceptional, I have to find someone exceptional to help with that. Okay, building brand infrastructure, very, very important as you scale. A lot of people think, I've got this great business, I'm gonna run more ads and hope for the best. They may do well for Q4, but they don't have any infrastructure, they don't have any systems. Dean at the back there, he is my back-end guy. He's a top legend. He manages the entire back-end for my businesses. And if it wasn't for Dean, I'd probably be out of business. It's all about putting systems in place. Definitely learning and optimizing and using AI as things progress. We can integrate that more into the business. But things like spreadsheets, very, very important. If you have content, you have a KPI, I want 50 pieces of new content for my brand per week, which may sound like a lot to you guys, but that's not a lot. How can we create a system to non-negotiably get 50 pieces of content for my brand per week? What can we do? A standard operating procedure that we run by. Every Monday, we do exactly this procedure. You build it, and then you pass it on to someone or you do it yourself every single week. Very, very important. If you just wing it the whole time, you just wing it forever and you won't reach your potential. Same with running of ads, right? If you guys just get some new ads, you chuck them in your ad account as soon as you have them. Or do you guys have, you know, on this day, we finalize the creatives. Every Monday or every Tuesday, we upload the ads. Who's doing it? How long does it take? It needs to be very, very regimented and systemized. The same for fulfillment. Very, very important that you guys don't manage your own fulfillment. Hiring a VA, a virtual assistant, to do that for you. Okay, and profit tracking and cash flow management. At all times, I know exactly what my net worth is. I check it every single day. It's a big reason why I'm financially doing quite well, is because I'm so damn organized with what's in my bank account. Tracking how much profit you made last month, how much you invested into the business, where it was invested, all very, very important to track at all times. You can do it on a Google Sheet and literally just have, you know, you can have your net worth, you could have how much you spent last month, how much revenue you did, exactly what your costs are. Look at it and see how you can optimize. Can you negotiate your costs? You know, do you have room to spend more on ads? What was my return on that investment into ads? It's all of these questions that you guys want to be tracking. This is the one thing I personally haven't really outsourced. It's kind of profit tracking and cash flow management. It's personal to me. Supplier relationships as well. We did an entire presentation on how important it is to have a better relationship with your supplier than all of your competitors. I mean, how powerful is that? Having a better relationship with your suppliers than all of your competitors. It's a competitive edge. If we have enough competitive edges, we win the game. QC as well is checking of the quality of orders before they're sent to customers or before they're shipped out to you. You can hire people if you're going to China to quality check the orders before you bulk buy, or make sure you have very, very strict communication with the suppliers to make sure they're sending out exactly what they say they are. One thing I want to point out, which is a problem. None of you guys have pen and paper. For me, that's a problem because I turn this slideshow off, you're going to be thinking back at it. Okay, I had a mentor. I went to his house 4 or 5 times a week. I literally went with a pen and paper and jotted down everything he was saying, every single thing. And I continue to do that. It's very rare that I will go somewhere without a piece of paper. I have one over there. I don't need one to present, but I do believe it's a problem because you guys need to be sponges. Every piece of information, whether you implement it or not, whether you agree with it or not, should be considered and analyzed, because that is how you succeed. Does anybody have any questions? Is it being recorded? There you go. And then from an efficiency perspective, yes, it is being recorded, but if you guys took regimented notes of each point I said, you wouldn't have to watch the recording. Therefore, you would save an hour of your time, which you could implement into the business and then make more money, which is a competitive edge, which means you beat everyone. That is how you get rich. It's by beating everyone. It's a competition. Just because you guys started e-commerce does not mean you will succeed. Many people try and get rich. Very, very few actually succeed. Especially, I know most of you guys are young. You know, the probability of being financially free, having a 7-figure business in your 20s is like extraordinarily low. It's like, if you study the statistics, it's like almost impossible. So we've got to level up, okay, if we want to do it, because I did it. And I think that's pretty cool. But I did not do what everybody else does. Far, far different. That's why my results are far different. Thank you.